I'm just baffled. I'm waiting for God to give me the closure so I can just maybe understand, what the message is. Time is now, heading out.
Were you at the funeral?
It hurts me to hear the fact that people speculated and said that I wasn't at the funeral, because I absolutely was at the funeral. I was at the burial as well.
Usher's life has been more akin to a bed of thorns than a bed of roses. From the tragic loss of his own father to the heartbreaking passing of his stepson Kile Glover, his journey has been marked by turmoil and adversity. Even today, the memory of Kyle's death continues to haunt him deeply.
I received a call from Tamika. She said I need to get back. Something happened with Kyle up on Lake Lanier, and I didn't know how real it was, so I reached out to Ryan.
When Usher arrived in Las Vegas a few years ago for a series of shows at Caesars Palace, it had been 6 years and 1.5 albums since his last full tour. But being Usher, he quickly shook off any stage rust and became one of the most sought-after performers in a city already teeming with high-profile talent. His show at Caesars was such a resounding success that he soon transitioned to an even larger residency at the Park MGM. This new show was quintessentially Usher, sweaty, theatrical, and lascivious. He quickly became one of MGM's most dedicated performers, discovering that he genuinely enjoys having a steady gig.
Oh, y'all out there doing what I'm doing. I'm trying to do what I'm doing, but you can't.
He's the world-famous singer behind a dozen club anthems and a dozen more crooning, desirous ballads. Usher has been making music for 3 decades, dominating the pop scene for 2 of them. He outlasted his immediate predecessor R. Kelly and boasts more #1 hits than his immediate successor Chris Brown. His extensive list of hits also eclipses the catalog of Justin Timberlake, his closest rival. Despite this, Usher doesn't view his career in competitive terms. Quote, "I don't feel like I've ever been in competition with anyone else," he says cheerfully. "I'm a celebrator of music." In the late 90s, Usher wrote a sensual steam of hits produced by Jermaine Dupri to stardom before going supernova with Confessions, the 2004 album that transformed him into a bad boy. Usher can master traditional R&B You Got It Bad and elevate his falsetto in the most thrilling EDM-tinged R&B climax. Some music critics have long criticized his genre hopping and his uncanny ability to craft an Usher song that aligns with the day's most popular music styles. However, he's proud of his entire catalog, including his EDM phase. Quote, "I haven't gone country," Usher tells me, "but I'm just saying." That's the thing about Usher, he could if he wanted to. In 2019, Usher teased his 9th studio album with the potential title Confessions 2. The prospect of a sequel caused a minor internet uproar. "This what y'all want?" Usher wrote in an Instagram caption. Fans responded with an emphatic, roaring, squealing yes. However, the more he worked on the album, the less interested he became in making another Confessions. He hit a creative wall and grew frustrated with the industry. Quote, "I can't be who I was, I don't want to be who I want to be better than what I was," Usher says, adding with a laugh, "That might be a problem." He hasn't released an album in what feels like forever. The last time Usher put out a full-length solo album, Obama was still in the White House and it was a Tidal exclusive. In 2021, as the world began shaking off the pandemic and mass partying became socially acceptable, Usher embarked on a 20-show run at Caesars Palace. This was followed by an amped-up version at the Park MGM that crowned him the new king of Las Vegas, with secondary market ticket prices skyrocketing like 2021 GameStop stock. Kim Kardashian was devastated when bad weather thwarted her birthday plans, causing her private jet to turn around and make her miss the show. Despite the highs and lows, Usher tries to stay grounded. Quote, "Fat Joe says yesterday's price is not today's price," he says, shrugging. The Ushercence finally swept over us last summer when Usher performed stripped-down versions of his hits for NPR's Tiny Desk series. As warm, charming, and perpetually youthful as ever, Usher appeared dressed like someone who had beamed back into the Matrix. The performance was ostensibly a celebration of the 25th anniversary of his second album, but it truly showcased his enduring dominance. Old music from Usher is better than new music from almost anyone else. "I went to Tiny Desk and I literally sang my classic records," Usher said, and people loved it. NPR listeners voted it their favorite Tiny Desk of the year with 14 million views and counting. It was his Confessions Part 2 flourish, framing his face with sideways peace signs and whispering, "Watch this," that was too extra not to go viral. When Usher speaks, his ideas unfurl in dreamy monologues, long stories, and dramatic lectures. At one point, he reflects on a frustrating period in his career when the industry was confining R&B. Quote, "It's not hip-hop enough, it's not current enough, it's not TikTok savvy, it's not memeable," he says. "That that shit can be frustrating for an artist who is all about passion. I literally want to go and sing and perform for audiences. Middle age has made him more ruminative, and doing the show made him more intentional about his purpose. Quote, I'm feeling inspired again to now launch new music and also to continue to keep this phenomenon going, Usher says. It's really been about the celebration of entertainment, the celebration of the standard set by incredible guys, names like Prince, Michael Jackson, and Gene Kelly, who inspired me. RCA President Mark Pitts, a record producer and longtime Usher collaborator, noticed something different in his friend after the first run of Vegas shows. Quote, it's almost like that fish that's been on land, says Pitts. Now that he's on stage, he jumped in the water. That's his comfort zone. It's always been him being on stage. For his My Way residency, the audience becomes Usher's special guests in a libidinous world of his creation. Usher is in front of you, beside you, and then he's center stage dry humping a mic stand. That his comfort zone includes dancers in clubbing attire, pantomiming reverse cowgirl while he sings Lovers and Friends as an auntie in her mid-40s captures it all on an iPad from a seat in the mezzanine. That's Usher. Usher's mother raised him to be humble. Born in Dallas but raised in Chattanooga, Tennessee and Atlanta, Usher came up through talent shows and Star Search. While in high school, he signed with L.A. Reid's LaFace label, which later merged with Arista. To help a teenage Usher find his it factor, Reid sent him to what he called Puffy Flavor Camp in New York. Usher's self-titled first album didn't produce a gold single, but his second album, My Way, had 3 platinum records.
Send me your scream. My way, oh my way, my way.
When asked when he felt he achieved icon status, Usher's answer meanders modestly. Quote, when did I become an icon? Could it be a certain number of hit records, number ones, albums sold, awards given, comparisons, becoming the standard for other artists? I'm trying to figure out. He continues like this before leading on Confessions, his magnum opus. His 4th studio album is the best-selling R&B album of the 21st century by a male singer. A typical good album might have 1 string of perfect songs. Confessions has 3 separate strings of perfect songs. Even if you removed both parts of Confessions from the album, you'd still have Yeah, Caught Up, Burn, Superstar, and on the expanded edition, My Boo. Confessions era Usher crafted improbable earworms out of shame and indiscretions.
I don't know about y'all, but I know about us, and it's the only way we know how to rock.
With his best songs delving into dark themes. The stories weren't all his own, but they gave us smooth melodies and perfect falsetto and edge. He sang about having a good girl but wanting a bad one, about his chick on the side getting pregnant and choosing not to have an abortion, about the slow fade to black of a cashed out relationship, and about walking hand in the Beverly Center not caring who sees. The album captured lightning in a bottle. Quote, the conversation, the music, the entertainment, the dialogue, the energy around it, the toxic R&B of it, because Usher says Confessions was the birth of toxic R&B. Yo, but by the way, toxic was just being honest, he adds. It's how you choose to say it. He's using toxic in a modern context. The internet dating app / pseudotherapy definition, selfish, dishonest, indignant. It was Usher's word choice, not mine. The back-to-back tracks Confessions and Confessions Part 2 get at the central tension of his music. He teases out your worst impulses and your most selfish indulgences. Guilt, the songs suggest, is a creative gift. It leads to a good story and a great song. But the real linchpin of Usher's music was always his honesty. How insistent he was on owning the parts about him that were lovable and also the parts that got him into trouble. Confessions Part 2 was a complex narrative. Usher is presented as its villain and maestro. If he's gonna tell it, then he's gonna tell it all. The generation of singers that came after Usher seems to either resent women or discard them, which couldn't be further from his approach. Quote, toxic now is like, I'm effed up and I'm just saying I'm effed up and that's it with no remorse, he says. His conscience is what separates Usher's best songs from his successors. He's thinking about you when he does good and he's thinking about you when he does bad. So this was Usher, a Grammy Award-winning, diamond-selling R&B artist who dominated his era of music in the 1990s, the 2000s, and the 2010s. Despite his successful music career marked by record-breaking hits, Usher's personal life was fraught with challenges. In 2008, he married his stylist Tamika Foster, a union that faced public scrutiny and disapproval from Usher's own family. The marriage was marred by constant turmoil, including infidelity, and ended after just 2 years.
First of all, were you faithful to her?
No.
Did you have a relationship or sex with her bridesmaid?
I did.
Years before their 2007 marriage, Usher and Foster first met when she worked as his stylist. Their professional relationship eventually evolved into a romantic one. Despite a brief cancellation of their wedding plans in July 2007, they tied the knot shortly thereafter. Their first child, Usher Raymond V, was born in November of 2007, followed by their second son, Naveed Eli Raymond, in December 2008. However, marital bliss was short-lived, as by June 2009, Usher filed for divorce from Foster, igniting a bitter legal battle characterized by accusations from both sides. In response to Usher's divorce filing, Foster contested his claimed separation timeline. While Usher asserted they had been living apart since July of 2008, Foster insisted they were still together as a married couple until days before Usher filed for divorce on June 12, 2009. Despite the divorce being finalized in November of 2009, the contentious issue of custody continued to plague their relationship.
I don't know that my son is going to be 100% the boy he was that before this incident.
Initially seeking joint custody, Usher later escalated the legal battle in 2012 by pursuing full custody of their children, citing Foster's alleged unfitness as a parent. One incident involved Foster purportedly attempting to physically confront Usher during a custody handover. Eventually, Usher was granted full custody, but the aftermath revealed further messy details. Even after their divorce was finalized, Tamika Foster shocked many by making a disturbing allegation regarding her marriage to Usher. She claimed that Usher had engaged in a S relationship with one of her bridesmaids while they were still together. This shocking revelation surfaced during their custody battle over their sons, with Foster's legal team suggesting that a nanny had been dismissed from Usher's residence after being found in bed with one of Foster's friends. In a September 2012 interview with Entertainment Tonight, Foster expressed empathy towards the women involved, stating, quote, "I think that she got very close to him as a result of being my friend, and I feel like he used it to his advantage." In that same month, Usher had a candid conversation with Oprah Winfrey where he openly acknowledged his infidelity during his 2-year marriage to Tamika Foster. Regarding the allegations involving the bridesmaid, Usher admitted to forming a close relationship with Foster's former friend, but asserted that he did not engage in any inappropriate behavior while still married. He maintained that their intimacy only occurred after his divorce had been finalized. Unlike many celebrity divorces that result in substantial payouts, Tamika Foster disclosed that her separation from Usher did not yield such financial benefits. The couple had a prenup agreement in place, which evidently disappointed Foster. Consequently, she received just under $1 million in the settlement. Adding to her stress, Usher initially permitted Foster to continue residing in their marital home post-divorce, only to unexpectedly list it for sale in September 2012, giving her a mere 60 days to find a new residence. Reflecting on her past in a September 2021 interview with Page Six, Foster expressed genuine affection for her former husband, stating, quote, "The truth is, I really loved my husband. It wasn't BS, it wasn't gold digging. I always said that I took a pay cut when I married him." Fortunately, in the years following their tumultuous breakup, the ex-couple appears to have reached a more amicable understanding. Foster even attended Usher's 2024 Super Bowl performance and extended her well wishes for his wedding to partner Jennifer Goycochea. Despite their rocky history, it's heartening to witness their ability to overcome their differences. Despite the brief union producing 2 children, it also led to a messy divorce and prolonged legal battles over custody. The year 2012 brought further tragedy when Tamika's older son, Kyle, from a previous marriage, tragically lost his life in a devastating accident on Lake Lanier, Georgia's largest lake. Born on March 29, 2001 in Atlanta, Georgia, Kyle showed a penchant for creativity from a young age. The son of Tamika, a stylist, and Ryan Glover, an Atlanta TV executive, Kyle displayed a natural love for singing and dancing.
Time is now, heading out.
By the age of 6, Kyle's parents had divorced and his mother Tamika remarried the legendary R&B superstar Usher. As fans of Usher, Kyle and his older brothers now regarded him as their stepdad. On Kyle's 7th birthday, their family attended the Kids' Choice Awards, thrusting him into the spotlight.
We're celebrating for 2 reasons. One, because we're happy to be here at the Kids' Choice Awards, but also it is my son, my stepson's
Cool.
birthday.
Awesome.
Kyle.
How old are you? 7.
As Kyle matured, he began to exhibit his talents and personality through his YouTube channel, aptly named The Kyle Show. Beyond his creative endeavors, Kyle also proved to be academically gifted, earning medals for his scholastic achievements. He harbored aspirations of pursuing a diverse array of career paths, including engineering, programming, brokerage, acting, and more, a testament to his status as a versatile and ambitious individual.
We cooked together in the house, we laughed, we played, we sang. He loved to sing, he loved to dance, he loved to, to tell jokes.
Amidst the highly publicized custody disputes involving his mother, stepdad, and younger brothers, Kyle found himself spending the summer of 2012 with his father and stepmother. The family, along with several friends, decided to enjoy a day on the lake at Lake Lanier. However, this particular lake harbored a dark and tragic history, marked by multiple incidents resulting in the loss of innocent lives, earning it the reputation as Georgia's deadliest lake. Beneath the lake's waters lies the remnants of a former town called Oscarville. In the early 1900s, Oscarville was a thriving community inhabited by successful black farmers, carpenters, and blacksmiths. Tragedy struck in 1912 with the mysterious and brutal murder of May Crow. Following her death, 3 young black men were wrongfully executed for the crime. Subsequently, over 1,000 black residents were violently expelled from the county through riots, killings, and the destructions of homes and businesses. This brutal campaign aimed to racially cleanse the area and establish it as a white man's county. In the 1950s, the Buford Dam was constructed to mitigate flooding from the Chattahoochee River and the Chestatee River. This dam created Lake Lanier, named after Confederate soldier Sidney Lanier. Remarkably, Lake Lanier was formed over the site of Oscarville, as the city of Atlanta deemed it too costly to demolish the existing infrastructure. To this day, remnants of Oscarville, including rooftops, home foundations, cemeteries, and even the Gainesville Speedway, remain submerged beneath the lake's surface. These submerged structures pose significant hazards for recreational activities and complicate emergency services efforts to recover bodies. Despite its dark history and safety concerns, Lake Lanier remains a popular tourist destination, attracting millions of visitors annually. However, its waters have tragically claimed the lives of over 700 people over the years. On July 6, 2012, Kyle's father Ryan and his stepmother Marcia were enjoying a day on their speedboat, towing Kyle and a female friend on an inner tube. However, their outing took a tragic turn when a family acquaintance named Jeff Hubbard began recklessly driving his jet ski in the vicinity. Marcia recounted that Hubbard was zooming back and forth, yelling and performing dangerous stunts such as standing on the jet ski without using his hands. Suddenly, Ryan and Marcia witnessed Hubbard racing directly toward their boat. Before they could react, Hubbard's jet ski collided with the inner tube at full speed, rendering Kyle unconscious and causing severe injuries to his friend, including broken bones. Both children were airlifted to Children's Healthcare of Atlanta for treatment. While Kyle's friend eventually recovered, Kyle himself, having borne the brunt of the impact to his head, never regained consciousness due to the severity of his injuries. Days later, he would be declared brain dead.
I happened to be in Los Angeles, California when I received a call from Tamika. She said I need to get back. Something happened with Kyle up on Lake Lanier, and I didn't know how real it was. So
For the next 2 weeks, Kyle remained on life support as his family clung to hope for his recovery. During this challenging time, they released a statement saying, quote, "We know God's in control, and we are leaning on our faith in Him and His Word at this most difficult time. We firmly believe in the power of prayer and ask that you all continue to pray and lift Kyle up, as it's the best way we can all support him now." But on July 21st, after being taken off of life support, Kyle passed away from heart failure. Tributes poured in online as people who knew the family were devastated. One tribute in particular came from Justin Bieber, who had stayed with Kyle's family just before his big break.
And the most amazing photographer, right here. Nice. Ready?
The funeral for Kyle took place at the Wuka Road Baptist Church on July 27th in Atlanta. It was a beautiful service attended by hundreds of mourners, including Phaedra Parks and Jamie Foster Brown. However, despite the solemn occasion, much of the media attention centered around whether Usher himself attended the service. Despite not being pictured, Usher stated he did attend. Quote, "It hurts me to hear people speculating that I wasn't at the funeral. I absolutely was at the funeral. I was at the burial as well." Regrettably, amidst a very public and messy custody battle, Usher's potential attendance became a recurring topic at all future events organized by Tama in honor of Kyle. Even at the annual 5K run she hosted to raise funds for the foundation named after Kyle, people questioned, will Usher be there? This speculation persisted, with some expressing they would only attend if he did. Nonetheless, Tama remained resolute in honoring her son's memory and implementing changes to spare other families similar pain. In March of 2023, on what would have been Kyle's 12th birthday, she established the non-profit organization Kyle's World Foundation. Their mission was to provide children with boundless opportunities in the arts through applied fine arts. They initiated an annual performing arts day camp called Camp Kyle's World. In Atlanta that same month, the Georgia State Senate passed the Kile Glover Boat Education Law. This law mandates that anyone born on or after January 1st, 1998 operating a motorized vessel on Georgia waters must complete a boating safety education course and possess a Georgia Boating Education card. Initially, this appeared to be a significant stride forward in promoting water safety. However, Tamika later asserted in an Instagram live session that the Kile Glover boat law is not effectively enforced, it merely exists on paper. Foster added, quote, "The lake's construction over a city has resulted in altered current patterns that pose significant dangers to those enjoying water-based activities. The unique circumstances created by the lake's location require a proactive approach to enhance safety measures and prevent accidents." Around this time, Jeff Hubbard faced arrest and subsequently indictment by a grand jury. His charges encompass homicide by vessel, serious injury by vessel, reckless operation of a vessel, unlawful operation of a PWC, personal watercraft, and a boat traffic violation. However, during the trial, he pleaded not guilty to all charges. His defense lawyer contended that Hubbard made efforts to evade the boat and prevent harm to the children, but ultimately a tragic accident occurred. Tamika stated, quote, "He never came to me, Kyle's mother. Kyle's mother, not his father, not his stepmother, not the Glover family. I am not a Glover. He never came to me, Kyle's mother, and said I'm sorry," Foster said in an emotional statement. "I'm not saying the court should throw him in jail and throw away the key or lock him up forever. I don't know. But I think everything we do in life, there has to be some consequences for your actions. You can't just go and live your life as if you haven't ruined someone else's," she said. "Kyle was very, very talented, and his legacy I will fight to keep alive, but I don't have my son." When he took the stand, he tearfully pleaded for mercy and forgiveness. However, he only went so far as to say, "I apologize for my involvement in the incident." The judge expressed disappointment, telling him, quote, "I'm disappointed that you have not accepted more responsibility for what occurred." After an 8-day trial and just 90 minutes of deliberation, the jury found Jeffrey Hubbard guilty on all charges. Despite facing a maximum sentence of 20 years, he was sentenced to 4 years behind bars and 15 years of probation for operating the jet ski recklessly, as described by the judge. Jeff's father later stated that he wanted to express an apology earlier, but was advised against doing so by his counsel.
He's been remorse from day one. It's been a nightmare to him for the last 2 years. And it'll probably be something that's going to be indelibly etched in his mind for the rest of his life.
Despite the accident being just that, an accident, and Jeff's genuine remorse, it was crucial that justice be served. However, long before the case went to trial, Tama claimed that Usher had been leveraging Kyle's death to delay the custody case, initially citing the need for grieving time. In the end, Usher was granted primary custody of his 2 boys. This decision exacerbated their already strained co-parenting dynamic. Matters worsened when, on August 5, 2013, their 5-year-old son Usher V became trapped in a pool drain at his father's home, spending nearly 3 minutes submerged underwater. He was rushed to the ICU but fortunately survived the ordeal. Before Tama, this sequence of events felt all too sudden. The very next day after Usher V's near-drowning incident, she swiftly filed a request for an emergency custody hearing in Superior Court. Her petition sought temporary primary custody, contending that her son's accident was indicative of insufficient supervision in Usher's care. And people also have claimed that Kyle might be sacrificed for Usher's fame, and in that race, he kept neglecting his stepson. One person wrote, quote, "Usher is a negligent father. He almost lost another child. Stop." Another one added, quote, "Kyle's death was not an accident. It was planned. Kyle's death was a blood sacrifice for Usher." One more person added, quote, "It was a sacrifice for both." That's it for today. See you in the next video. Until then, goodbye.